Have you ever wondered how someone actually learns to speak the language of the universe? Well, we're not going to try and solve all its mysteries today. Instead, we're going to explore the journey of learning that language through one of the most famous physics textbooks out there, and its just as important sidekick.
All right, just take a look at this. If you've ever cracked open an advanced textbook, you know this sight. It's just a wall of symbols and equations. It is dense, it is abstract, and let's be honest, it kind of feels like being tossed into the deep end of a pool before you've even learned to swim.
And that really is the perfect question, isn't it? See, this isn't just some random jumble of facts. It's a really sophisticated argument written in a language most of us just don't speak. So, feeling a little lost right now? That's completely normal. In fact, that feeling is the whole point. It's the first step on a really challenging but really rewarding path.
And wow, is that path huge. This isn't about mastering just one little concept. No, it's an entire intellectual journey. We're starting with the absolute basics, the building blocks of vector analysis. And from there, we end up at the frontiers of physics with stuff like electrodynamics and relativity. You're trekking across this whole incredible landscape of science.
So, how in the world do you approach this? Well, here's what you have to flip a switch in your brain. This isn't just math, it's a language. A really precise, really powerful language that's designed to describe how our universe actually works. Every single one of these equations. It's not just a formula, it's telling a story.
Let's jump back to the very beginning. Chapter 1. This is where the textbook throws out its first challenges. And you can see right away how the language works. You've got these diagrams in this dense mathematical notation. The pictures give you a little hint, a place to start. But the symbols, oh, they're asking for something way more. They demand a rigorous, logical proof.
Okay, so when you're faced with a challenge this big, a language this complex and demanding, it's no wonder that students for generations have felt completely overwhelmed. It's a universal feeling. But for a journey this difficult,
There's almost always a guide. And I want to be super clear here. This is not a shortcut. It is definitely not a cheat sheet. You should think of it more like an essential tool for navigation, right? It's a detailed map that helps you find your way when you get lost in that dense forest of symbols, which, believe me, you will.
And this is it. The legendary Instructor's Solutions Manual. You know, for countless aspiring physicists, this unassuming book is just as crucial, just as vital as the textbook itself. This right here is the key that unlocks the language of the universe.
so what's its secret? What's it actually doing? Well, it doesn't just hand you the final answer. Nope. Its real magic, its profound purpose, is to show you the process of scientific thinking. It lays out, step by step, the train of thought that gets you from a really complicated problem to a beautiful, elegant solution. And what's so remarkable is how it builds this mental framework for you. It teaches you this powerful method without you even realizing it. First, you just state the problem clearly. Then, you figure out the core physical principle that's at play. After that, you just execute the math, and bam, you arrive at the solution. It's basically a recipe for scientific reasoning.
And that's the real genius of it, right? The goal was never just about checking your homework. The real point is to understand how a physicist thinks. The manual just demystifies that whole process. It turns what looks like a chaotic mess of symbols into a clear, logical path that you can actually follow.
So you've got this amazing system for learning. You have this powerful textbook and its trusted guide. But, and this is where the story gets really human and honestly really interesting, this legendary book and its companion, written by one of the top experts in the field, well, turns out they're not perfect.
I mean, just look at this. This is a direct quote from the official list of corrections. After pages and pages of just brain-meltingly complex physics, we get this. A sign is flipped, a variable is in the wrong place. It's a beautiful and humbling reminder that even at the highest levels, science is a deeply human thing.
And the fact that these lists even exist tells you something so important about science itself. It is never really done. It's this dynamic, constant process of refinement, of checking our work, and of being totally open to correction, even on the small stuff. The search for accuracy, it's a journey, not a destination.
So as we start to wrap this up, let's just pull back for a second and look at the big picture. Why go through all this trouble? Why pour so much effort into learning this incredibly hard language, navigating its grammar, and even correcting its typos? The answer is pretty simple, actually. Because solving for X was never the real goal.
Now, the real goal, the ultimate prize, is that it fundamentally rewires your perception of reality. It's all about training your brain to see the invisible forces, the elegant structures that govern absolutely everything in our universe.
After months, years of hard work, a diagram like this stops being just a bunch of lines on a page. You can actually start to see these invisible fields in your mind. You start to really deeply understand the story that the equations are telling. You've finally learned the language, and now you can read the poetry of the universe.
You know, this whole journey through physics is just one example of mastering a complex way of thinking. It doesn't matter if your passion is code, or music, or law, or art. Every single field has its own deep, beautiful language. And learning it is going to be hard, for sure, but the reward is a completely new way of seeing the world. So the final question is for you. What hidden language are you going to learn next?